Hello and welcome. Here I'm going to do a video about Star Trek Generations from 1994. This film is the big screen return of Star Trek Next Generation. This is Picard's Enterprise. Um, and I guess it's only natural, the original series with Kirk and Spock and the crew. They got their 3 seasons of television, they got their animated series, and then they got their 6 films on the big screen. And of course, we go again with the massively popular Next Generation crew, and they didn't get 6 films; they got 4. Um, so I'm making my way through all 4 films upon finishing the television series, the 7 seasons, which was a real experience, and I relished every episode. Really enjoyed it. So yes, the film. We get all the same characters. They're all back, and Guinan is back, and I don't. She wasn't very. She didn't appear in many episodes, or if any, in the final season of the television series. Could be wrong. So yeah, the plot of Next um, Generation, sorry, is that there's this like a wormhole, or like some sort of like a anomaly in space called the Nexus, and this sort of like anomaly is appearing in space somewhere, and it's, if you go inside, it can sort of like grant you this tranquil, it grants your greatest desires, basically. We've seen that in many different interpretations, in art and media and television series and films, and Star Trek do it here. Star Trek have done that a few times, actually, but here they do it on a big screen. And it can grant, anyone, it basically, it's a way of keeping you in this place, and it's going to test you on whether or not, as you are morally strong to or strong of will to escape that then and get back to reality, because of course that's not reality, that's not real. We can't escape reality. We can do things to comfort us and make our human experience more pleasurable or bearable, but we are human beings, and we have our birth and we have an expiration date. So yeah, and it's funny because I thought that it would go away where Picard would enter this nexus, and because everything he's been through, I mean, uh, he has been through many traumatic experiences that has tested him, that has hardened him, that has made him more empathetic. Although he was very true of heart to begin with, but I thought this was going to be a thing where Picard would be willingly staying in the Nexus whilst the crew try and do things to corral him back out, to come back to reality. But that's not the case, because James T. Kirk is in this, and he's the one that is in those shoes, where he finally sort of has this moment of peace, and not having to sacrifice anymore, because he sacrificed so much. Even though we've seen in the films that Kirk cannot resist, the allure of Star Trekking and being the captain. Although here we do get a finalization of he's not got such a hold of the command anymore. He's willing to give that up to someone who is worthy, and that is Picard, and that was really touching. But going back to Kirk, staying on Kirk, the beginning scene, the introductory scene was poor. It's just such a cop out. I mean, they clearly didn't want to spend the budget on that opening scene, and it showed. And it's you didn't want to spend the money, but you wanted to introduce Kirk because you wanted fans to, you've already got bums on seats at that point, unless the trailers sort of. I don't even know what the marketing was like, if they wanted to bring people in because of the allure of Kirk. But yeah, it's just a cop out first scene. The film really starts when the crew that I'm here to see is introduced. But having Kirk like with Picard was really great. They share, you know, that great scene in the great scenes in the Nexus where like Kirk has that realization by himself that like, you know, this is not real. Um, and then, you know, they go off on horseback back to the real world, and they fight this enemy that the arch you know, the antagonist that wants to uh you know, go back to the Nexus, because obviously it links to Kirk like 78 years or 80 years prior, when Kirk did experience the Nexus, and he was trapped in there. Um, but this antagonist was like stopped by the Enterprise because they rescued him from the Nexus destroying their planet or something, and he's like vengeful. He wants to get back there. So obviously that's the plot. You know, Picard and the crew want to stop him because he's got this rocket, and it's Malcolm McDowell. Malcolm McDowell is in this film, man. He's amazing. I love him. One of my favorites. He's brilliant here. He's brilliant in everything. So yeah, like Kirk and Picard have this great scene at the end where they fight him off, and like, I think the editing and like the use of like the practical like bridge, the set, and like everything around them is used in like a way that sort of like visually works, you know, because that could go wrong where like you're having scenes on the bridge that's real, and then you're having like the scenery around it that's like of clearly not, and but I think it really worked, especially when it ends with, you know, the departure of Kirk. You know, this is I'm not sure if this is the final appearance of Kirk, but it was shocking to see Kirk be killed off. I mean, we got Spock's death like in the original films, but he returned like a superhero, didn't he? So yeah, this look, you know, Kirk's human, so it doesn't look like he's gonna have the same rebirth as Spock. So yeah, yeah, and I mean Patrick Stewart, he who played Picard, he brings it every time. Like, damn, he is extraordinary. You know, because he gets like this bad news at the beginning after we have this really fun scene. This is the film with the ship, right, where we get introduced to, I think like the Next Generation cast are on like the holodeck doing this scene with like pirates and whatnot, and like Worf, I think it's Worf, gets sent into the water, and it's really funny, and like I just love the humor with them. I think Data's terrific. I love Data. He's so funny. He brings like he just he has this magical ability, like the actor is really like he encompasses Data. Uh, yeah, but also Data has this like, because he gets like there's another plot line where like Data has like an emotion chip that Dr. Song, like his creator, made for him, but never he wasn't meant to find it at a certain age or something, or a certain time. But Data has this now, and he chose not to use it in the series because it turned him a bit to the dark side. But now he uses it, and because of that, he has like this. It shows that even Data is fallible, and because of the emotions, he gets scared, he gets worried, he realizes like his actions have consequences, and he feels remorse for those things. And like Geordie gets kidnapped, I think it's Geordie, and Data like. I was so blown away by that scene because Data is usually someone that I can rely on to just like pick boulders up and rip doors off hinges, and here we don't get that. Sorry, here we don't get that because of his emotions, and that was really strong. That was really strong to see. So yes, we learned that Picard comes from a long line of like prodigious family members that have like had their name in history for whatever reasons, whether that be like scientific or otherwise. That's like interesting to learn. Um, the score is terrific. The sound effects are really engaging, and that's what you want to do in like films, don't you? And I think any visual medium or you know, audio, you want to bring that to life. Like that's where so many films go wrong, with the audio, with the score, with the sound effects, and this film brings it in buckets loads. It really goes off with a bang, the score and the sound effects. Just thought it was cool that, like, you know, we see more Klingon women in positions of power, just like the men. Like they're just always up to treacherous things or opposing like the Starfleet sort of like rules and stuff. It's cool to see them because they equally sort of like intimidating as the men as well. So it's really cool. There's a scene where like I'm not sure how like loved or controversial it is, but there's a scene where like the Enterprise is crashing onto this planet, and the scenes are like the shots are like reused. I mean, that could get a little bit grating, but I just enjoyed it so much because it's just like the Enterprise is being torn to bits and it's crash landing. I think like it separated. It done the separation thing where it separates the like the front end of the ship and the back end. I think one's for like accommodation and one's for like the the operations of the ship. And having it, what my favorite part is having the Enterprise fly through the clouds. It, as it's descending, it flies through these clouds and appears, and that was beautiful to me. Yeah, and so yeah, that was the first Star Trek Next Generation films. Really enjoyed it. Not my favorite. I certainly not my favorite one. I prefer others. But you'll see that in the other videos. Thank you very much.